really, man, if I'm completely honest, I used weed a lot of the time when I was younger to actually just accentuate how nice something else was. So food or sex, to get high before and then boom. And you know what's crazy, man, is I knew in my soul that I wasn't doing the right thing. For example, man, to paint a picture for you, I remember having just one friend over at the time, actually. He came over, we'd get high, and I didn't even really want to get high. Like, I remember that I was sort of just coming out of that phase, and he mixed it with tobacco, and I didn't really like that. I like the puri, as it was known, or as it is known, whatever, man. I've kind of fallen out of touch with weed lingo because I don't use it anymore. I prefer sharpness and a clear mind, but we'll talk about my own use, what I use these days, if I use anything, another time. But going back to the story, man, the weird thing about this is I was actually in a bit of a disassociated place because this person who came over, who I was getting high with, our relationship wasn't even that good. We were friends for many years, and then we actually fell out, and then somehow weed brought us back together. You ever had that experience where you're getting high with someone and you kind of become aware, and you're like, oh wait, why am I with this person? It's just because of the weed, that's why, So the real test of your relationships is when you take away the thing, whether it's alcohol or maybe you go out and you kind of binge eat with a friend or you talk shit with a friend, whatever it may be. If you remove the substance, then you see, oh, right, I don't want to spend time with this person. But for you to actually take that seriously, I find, at least in my experience, I found that you have to become sober. Because only when you're sober can you truly honor what you realize in these small moments of clarity. Really, man, I should make a whole video on the power of being sober, besides maybe psychedelics. Because the amount of truth that you get is, honestly, how to describe it, man? Transformative. It transforms your life, which links to our topic of live a conscious life. Being sober is part of the conscious life. I want to finish the story. So I'm chilling with my friend, who's not really, really, really my friend. We're sort of just bonding over weed. And it's really crazy, man, how much of a haze you get into, by the way. I'm just remembering now. Yeah, I remember experiencing this low-grade high. It was just like a meh high. It wasn't euphoric. It was just kind of meh. And the guy knew his weed and everything. He really should have brought some better stuff. But anyway, man, I knew in my soul, I sat there and I was looking, when you're kind of stoned, you can't really move. You kind of just you're in a very lazy state of consciousness. Well, I was doing this. I was lying down. And I remember looking up at my ceiling. And I remember just promising myself, promising my future self, I'm going to make something of myself. I'm going to get out of this. I'm not going to get high like this anymore. Because it's not for me. I'm just escaping reality, and I'm not even enjoying it. I did it for years before this, and I really enjoyed it. Obviously, man, there's a cost. I experienced all kinds of things, man. It seriously fueled my addiction to pornography. I was very paranoid, and I haven't even shared that on this channel before. I experienced real paranoia, man, when I was using a lot of cannabis. Jesus Christ. Just general anxiety just was way worse. I remember trying to convince myself that weed made my life better because it was such an integral part of my life and my closest friendships. And by the way, I must admit, weed can bring you closer to some people because it is actually psychedelic. It took me years to realize this. Only once I started to use, true psychedelics did I then realize, oh, right, because when you use weed after you've tripped, it's different. It's as if the psychedelic potential of weed is amplified. And you're like, oh, the whole time it was a psychedelic, but I didn't know it. Weed can be used in such a low consciousness way that it doesn't feel like this. And so it's just kind of abused. And the way in which the person's living, like, you know, man, you know how it is. It's really easy to use it to basically pleasure your mind and fuel fantasies. I know that's how I used it, man. Now, that being said, you can use it responsibly and consciously. I don't choose to right now at the stage of my life that I'm in, but we'll come to that maybe in the future. But, you know, the truth is, my process is just slowly sharing more and more about my own self and my own story. I realize that I think naturally I'm quite a private person, and so I'm being where I'm at, you know, and that will be sometimes more open, sometimes less. We'll roll with it, man. Let's continue on. What this taught me, spending time with my friend, and really it was me living inauthentically. If I was really authentic, if I was really true to myself, I would have not had him over and I wouldn't have gotten high with him. But you know what's interesting is I did not have the personal authenticity or the emotional honesty developed enough to look my friend in the eye and say, listen, man, I don't want to do that with you. I've changed. My values have changed. So that's what you gain. You gain the ability to be more honest. It starts with being honest with you, and then as you have courage, you'll be able to, you know, be honest with your friends. And dude, the truth is, when you're young, you can kind of just mess around. You don't need to be honest, but as you get older, you realize the importance of honesty. You actually can't do anything unless you're honest. You wake up, you become more mature, and it's just natural, man. It's natural. It's a natural part of your maturity to value honesty. So applying this honesty in my own life here, it breaks my heart to say this, man, but I don't spend time with this person anymore. And it's difficult for me to love this person because how it feels is like I've gone on and changed my life. And I don't know where they are, but the last time I saw them, they were in the same kind of thing, you know. And you know this, man, because I'm sure you have people in your life where even just a few years ago you hung out with them, and now you've seen the conscious life, the path of truth, and you're like, well, I need to do that. I need to tread that path. I am treading that path. And people will just drop away. And, you know, the reason I bring this up and I'm kind of sharing this is because it's so easy to repress this and it's so easy to not feel this. One of the things I try and do these days, man, is feel things, you know? So I do feel bad for my friend. And yeah, man, it makes me emotional. It makes me really emotional thinking about that kind of thing. Largely because I know how I could have not chosen the path that I chose, which is like a path of truth, integrity, wisdom, discipline, spirituality. What I do, man, I can't half-ass this. I have to throw myself at it. I have to fully commit. And so the part of me that didn't choose this path, really, I find that impossible. But let's just say that there is that part of me that exists, which of course there is, man. Of course there is that part of me. That one thing I realize is that part of you never goes away. The part of you that relapses is still there. The part of you that feels inferior to other people is still there. The part of you that is intimidated by other people is still there. If you really listen to yourself, you will discover that you want to live the conscious life. And really, man, you have to accept all of those years that you will need to spend burning through karma, distracting yourself, distracting your soul, avoiding the truth of yourself, to just get through that. It's all part of it. It's all part of it, man. When you're in the haze or in the fog, that's part of it. That's part of the journey. And in time, what will happen is you will just refine your ability to listen to yourself. Because when you become aware, you realize that so much of this stuff, man, these bad habits, these low consciousness ways of being and lifestyle, it's conditioned. Everyone else around you does it, and no one models the conscious path for you. So you have to do lots of inner listening. But the good news is, and this is such good news, is you do listen to yourself and you do act on your wisdom. And what this means is you live a conscious life. I see it as my responsibility to help share and show what a conscious life looks like. So look out for that, man, as we continue this path together. For today, man, we're going to wrap things up there. Just remember, no matter where you are, to have perspective. Because you're going to be doing things that aren't in integrity, and you're going to be, flip-flopping. But ultimately, when you have perspective, you realize that's okay. That's part of it. Right? So, my friend, I hope this helps you. Take care. Lots of love, man. And as always, peace.